Have you ever actually stopped to wonder how the highest creator communicates with humanity? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the meticulous, frankly awe-inspiring construction of some of the most famous ancient artifacts in human history. By digging into the text of Exodus 37, we're going to reveal a really fascinating probability that God used physical design, brilliant colors, and precise architecture to literally communicate with humanity. We're going to see exactly how the Creator used earthly, ancient craftsmanship to show humans how He works in their lives, all so they might know Him better.
All right, let's just get right to the ultimate stakes of these artifacts. We are, of course, talking about the Ark of the Covenant. And the source text makes it abundantly clear this wasn't just some decorative piece of ancient furniture. No, it was the literal designated meeting point with the divine. It was the actual place of God's presence. Understanding that completely elevates everything we're about to explore because it means every single design choice, every inch of this thing was a profound message.
So here's our blueprint for this explainer today. 1. Designing the divine presence. 2. Ancient craftsmanship and beauty. 3. The practicality of portability. 4. The symbolism of pure gold. And finally, 5. Knowing God through design. Let's jump in. Section 1. Designing the divine presence. We have to start our journey by examining the foundational materials, because before you can have a golden masterpiece, you absolutely need a solid structure.
Now, what is super fascinating about this is the massive contrast in the materials chosen by the master craftsman Bezaleel. He starts with shittim wood, historically known as acacia, which is this incredibly dense, nearly indestructible desert wood. He builds the core of the ark out of this deep, earthy texture, measuring it to exactly 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide and high. But then, he completely envelops this durable, unyielding wood in brilliant, pure gold, inside and out, and tops it off with a golden crown. It's just this perfect marriage of sturdy, earthly reality wrapped up in pure divine majesty.
Moving right along to Section 2, Ancient Craftsmanship and Beauty. Let's see how this builds into an exploration of unparalleled architectural beauty, especially when we look at the golden candlestick. The sheer level of craftsmanship required for this botanical design is kind of staggering. The text describes Bezaleel shaping a central shaft with 6 branches extending from the sides. Just imagine the absolute difficulty of ancient metalworking here, shaping heavy, unforgiving metal into delicate bowls fashioned to look exactly like almonds, complete with intricate knops and flowers. It essentially brings a vibrant, living, botanical aesthetic into a very rigid space made of metal and fabric. But okay, this number right here, this is the crucial point. From a historical and craftsmanship perspective, this is genuinely mind-blowing. All of those intricate branches, the almond-shaped bowls, the flowers, they weren't cast separately and soldered together later. No way! The entire complex structure, including its 7 lamps, was beaten from exactly one single piece of pure gold. That requires a master level of ancient Ripassé metalworking, especially when you realize that a single talent of gold weighed roughly 75 pounds. And this whole thing just brilliantly illustrates the staggering scale of the craftsmanship we're talking about. It wasn't just the main furniture getting this royal treatment. There was an entire inventory of supplementary pure gold vessels. The table had its dishes, spoons, bowls, and covers, all pure gold. The candlestick had its own pure gold snuffers and snuff dishes. The dedication to this high-level design was absolute, quite literally down to the smallest spoon.
Which brings us to Section 3, the practicality of portability. Because to really understand these designs, we have to contrast this museum-quality beauty with the harsh, logistical reality of a nomadic people wandering through a rugged wilderness.
Notice how the instructions perfectly balance 2 completely opposite ideas. On one hand, you've got this heavy, immovable majesty, crowns of gold around the ark and the table, making them sound incredibly permanent and heavy. But put right up against that permanence is a highly kinetic, travel-ready design. Bezaleel casts 4 rings of gold for the corners of the ark and the table, specifically placing them as receptacles for carrying poles.
So the key takeaway is how they actually moved it. To transport these majestic items, they made staves or poles out of that same shittim wood, completely overlaid with gold. The crucial detail here is that the artifacts were carried exclusively by these staves, never directly by hand. So even while they were bouncing through a rugged, dusty desert, the design guaranteed the utmost reverence, maintaining this strict, pure boundary between the holy artifacts and human hands.
All right, Section 4, the symbolism of pure gold.
This brings us to the most visually striking element of the whole text, a brilliance we've purposefully tried to mirror in the vibrant colors of this explainer.
Right on top of the ark was the mercy seat. Now, unlike the ark itself, which was wood overlaid with gold, the mercy seat had absolutely no wood in it whatsoever. It was forged entirely out of pure gold. And growing right out of the ends of this solid golden slab were two cherubim. They were beaten from that exact same single piece of gold, their wings spreading out on high, their faces looking toward one another. It's just a stunning visual image of complete, unblemished divinity, a pure golden canvas for the Creator to communicate from.
We actually see this pure gold used again with the incense altar. Just like the ark, it used that fascinating dual design. It wrapped the highly practical, earthly shittim wood in a radiant, unblemished shell of pure gold, and finished it off with yet another golden crown. It completely takes that earthly wood and elevates it into a radiant, divine space.
And finally, Section 5, Knowing God Through Design. Let's bring all these architectural and logistical details together. Why would the Creator of the universe use such specific, tactile blueprints?
Well, think about it. This was a fully sensory experience. You have the blinding visual brilliance of the pure gold. You have the heavy physical reality of the carrying staves. You have the intricate natural beauty of the almond-shaped bowls. And then there's the pure incense of sweet spices, crafted like an apothecary would. Sight, touch, smell. It was masterfully designed so that humans could physically interact with, understand, and ultimately know their Creator in a highly tangible, real way.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. We've seen how Earth's sturdiest wood was married to heaven's purest gold. We've seen permanent majesty uniquely designed for a wandering desert journey. How does this stunning contrast, this earthly portability mixed with golden divinity, change the way you understand communication between God and humanity today? Thanks so much for joining me on this journey, and keep questioning the incredible design behind the details.